Welcome, Grade 7, to another day of learning. This is WorksheetCloud. If you have a question, remember to email us grade7@worksheetcloud.com. If you've been here before, you know the drill. Let's get started. Today's lesson is sorting and recycling materials. This unit makes a link between separating materials and the environment and recycling. So many people just throw their rubbish away and are too lazy to recycle. Even in South Africa, not enough is being done. I hope by the end of this lesson, I have inspired you and motivated you to get recycling. Good morning. This is Mrs. Hall. The objectives of today's lesson are as follows. We are going to look at recycling, sorting and recycling material, negative consequences of poor waste management. We're going to take a brief look at climate change and global warming. We're going to discuss sustainability as well as careers in this field. Let's start with what is recycling. Recycling is when things that are no longer wanted are reused to make something new. For example, when you finish reading a newspaper and you put it in the recycling bin. It is taken away to a factory and turned into something completely new, something that can be used again. How is household waste managed by the local authorities in your area? In some suburbs, recycling is actively encouraged and special transparent recycling bags are provided just for this purpose. Do you have recycling in your community? Be observant, grade 7s. Look around you the next time you're helping your mom and dad put the rubbish out. In fact, that might be your only outing outside of your house for the next few weeks. Is the recyclable waste collected from your home, or do you have to drop it off at a container or at a depot? Did you know that some people even make money selling recyclable waste that they collect? I'm sure you've seen those guys walking in the street with their big trolleys and their waste on there. Let's take a look at the negative consequences of poor waste management. First of all, pollution of the soil, water resources, and the environment. Health hazards and the spread of disease. Blockage of sewers and drainage systems. No one likes that one. Land wasted when it is used to dump or bury garbage. You all know what a landfill looks like. You've driven past them. Materials and other resources wasted when they could have been recycled. Which materials can be recycled? Most paper and cardboard can be recycled. Many different types of plastic as well. Most glass, as well as most metals. What other materials can be recycled? Fabrics, electronics, food, batteries, as well as garden waste. Why is it so good to recycle, grade 7s? This is a picture in South Africa in a CBD. Recycling is good because it means that we have less rubbish littering our world. If you see this symbol over here, it's a common one, you see it all the time. If you see it, it means that the object can be recycled. There are lots of different symbols on packaging that also mean you can recycle them. Have a look at home and see if you can spot them. Be a little bit more observant of what's actually going on in your homes. Where do we put our recycling, grade 7s? You know the bins, you see them at school. We can recycle our rubbish at home and at school. Take a look over here. We've got a depot in the background and an actual recycling factory. We take our rubbish to a recycling center or to recycling banks. And generally, we find these kind of places at supermarkets where you can offload your glass and metal and things like that. How is rubbish recycled? Let's take a closer look. Glass and metal, as you can see in these pictures, are washed and then broken into small pieces. The pieces are then melted and made into new things such as glass bottles, glass jars, metal cans, or even metal parts for cars. How is rubbish recycled? Paper is washed in soapy water. It is then mixed and rolled out before being left to dry. It is then turned into different types of new paper and card, such as newspapers. And I could not resist grade 7s. Yes, even toilet paper. And yes, there's my little cartoon, my toothbrush cartoon. Take a good look. I hope you get a giggle out of this. Some plastic can also be recycled, such as bottles and carrier bags. They are first crushed into very tiny, small little pieces. These pieces are melted and turned into new things, such as t-shirts, carpets, and new plastic bottles. How do you recycle in your home? Have a think about these questions. How do you recycle at home? How do you recycle at school? And how can you try to recycle even more? Sustainability. Sustainability is ensuring that the planet and all of its resources can continue to provide a home for the humans, animals, and plants that live here. It is our job to take care of the planet, to ensure that future generations of people and animals can live and thrive on Earth. And to thrive means to grow or develop well. It's all of us. We all count, grade 7, every single one of us. Why is it so important to be sustainable? Problems arise when we don't look after the resources we have, and will increasingly arise if we fail to ensure that there are enough resources for future generations. Yes, your kids one day. Problems such as loss of animal homes and natural environments, climate change, rising temperatures, climate change, melting polar caps and rising sea levels, increase in pollution, land, sea, and air pollution. And by the way, this is a photo in Cape Town, in a little suburb called Milnerton, and that is toxic waste going into our oceans. How can a climate actually change? Our planet's climate is changing as its human population gets bigger. How these people live their lives is making a big change to our climate. Harmful gases make changes to the climate. The gases are made by cars, trucks, airplanes, and even factories that make our toys, clothes, and electronic gadgets. Burning fossil fuels to make electricity also produces these gases. And if you've been watching the news and keeping up with current affairs during this coronavirus lockdown, you will see amazing pictures of clean air, unpolluted cities, places where the animals are actually coming back into the cities because of the freedom to be there and no pollution. Look at the pictures of the birds and the sea, and you will be amazed, grade 7, just from this lockdown, what it's meant for our environment. It's actually giving our Earth a well-deserved rest. Now, people have been burning more fuels over the past few centuries, such as wood, coal, oil, natural gases, and gasoline. The gases that are given off, like carbon dioxide, cause the atmosphere to get thicker. And experts believe that this is causing the Earth to heat up and undergo global warming. When these harmful gases go up into the air, they get trapped in the layer protecting the Earth from the sun. When the sun shines onto the Earth, the heat is kept in by the gases. This keeps getting hotter and hotter, heating the Earth way too much. And this is called global warming. Doesn't this picture just pull at your heartstrings? Now, what does climate change mean for us? Global warming, as you know, isn't good for our Earth. It means that ice is starting to melt in the Antarctic, and this could in turn cause floods in other parts of the world. This should not be new to you, grade 7. Rising sea levels means that animals such as turtles will no longer have nesting beaches on which to lay their eggs. The temperature of the nests also affects whether the turtles will be male or female. And if the temperature continues to rise, more females will be born than males. And what happens then? It increases the risk of turtles becoming extinct. This is a true fact, grade 7s. Developing countries will experience more droughts, lower rainfall, which will affect their livelihood if they are unable to grow crops as they need. And we've already seen it in Cape Town. Do you remember day 0? It was not that long ago where we were nearly queuing to get our daily allowance of drinking water. Now, as you know, there are climate change protests all over the world all the time. Groups of young people are very unhappy about the changes in our climate, and they've decided to come together and make a difference. They have written letters to important people like politicians as they wanted to show how serious they are about taking care of our Earth. In February 2019, just last year, lots of young people didn't go to school or college. Instead, they made posters and banners and they took to the streets with their message to look after our Earth and stop polluting. We call this a protest. I think you were a bit young last year. You were only in grade 6, so you weren't part of these protests. But let me tell you, the school where I was, the high school girls were out there. It was incredible to witness and be part of. If you don't know this lady, I suggest you start reading the newspapers. You all know who she is. Some people love to hate her. But yes, is she making a difference? Of course she is. Can you make a difference? Yes, you can. How? Just by starting to reduce, reuse, and recycle. Grade 7s, if you've loved the last few lessons and you've enjoyed my lessons on the environment and plastic pollution and today's lesson on sorting out materials, then look at one of these careers. Consider them. Go and Google one of these options. You could be a chemical educationist, a teacher. You could be a chemistry researcher. You could be an environmental chemistry. You could go into that. Mining industry, oil and petroleum industry, pharmaceuticals, even space exploration, and then waste management. And I spoke earlier about the consequences of poor waste management and what can happen. I mean, just think about it now in lockdown. We are still so lucky. We're getting our waste collected. Can you imagine the disease and the smell and the filth outside your homes if those waste collectors were on lockdown as well? it would be an absolute catastrophe. These are all very interesting careers to go into, grade 7s, and I really hope that you're enjoying these science lessons, and I'm inspiring you to continue studying science, grade 10, 11, and 12, so that one day when you decide your career choice, you may choose to go into one of the sciences. Grade 7s, thank you. It's been real. As always, I've enjoyed teaching you. I hope you've learned something new. There is a worksheet for you. If you go after this, you can download them with a memo. However, it's got quite a bit of revision in from last week's lessons. So because this lesson is linked with the sorting out of materials and separation techniques, I thought I would put some revision there for you as well. So enjoy. Have a great afternoon and an even better week.